All right, y'all. Today is the day that I finally get a grip and add a visual component to the podcast. If you're listening to me right now, you can't see me, but I'm finally recording with a camera right now. And I'm really excited because I've been wanting to do this for quite some time. And I've always told myself the story that I didn't have a nice enough camera. I didn't have a good enough backdrop. I didn't want to look good every time I wanted to sit down and record an episode. And if you can see me right now, it is quite clear. Well, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. We're busy, y'all. You can clearly see that I don't have a backdrop that looks maybe professional, but to me, it's perfect. I'm in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and it's beautiful. Also, this is my podcast, so I can kind of do whatever I want. And I also didn't really feel like doing my hair and makeup, so I'm in a hat, I'm in my comfy cozies, and I'm straight chilling, I'm having a good time. And I'm excited. I'm really excited. So today, what I want to do is I want to walk you guys through a workshop that I just completed and am going to be launching at a couple of workshop events that I have coming up. And it is called Unshakeable Confidence, Rooting Confidence in Authenticity. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pretend like we are sitting in a sacred space, like we are in a circle together, and I'm gonna take you guys through the workshop that I poured my heart and my brain into. And again, my mission with this podcast, my mission with my coaching, my mission with my workshops and my speaking, I had to revisit my why recently because I was going through some imposter syndrome. I was like, where's my heart in this? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? Well, I had to remind myself why, as in what is my why? And my why has always been to inspire other people. Like I have this drive and this part of my heart that is not satisfied until I feel like I can contribute to the collective whole. I don't want to live a selfish life. I want to live a selfless life. And of course, I want to build a career for myself. I want to make money and I want to provide for myself and my family eventually in the future. But really, I want to feel like I'm making a difference. I want to have a positive impact on the lives of other people. And I feel like I have the ability to make it an enjoyable experience. And that's what we're going to do today. A lot of people that I work with struggle with confidence. They struggle with authenticity. They feel like the conditioning and the societal expectations really infringe upon their ability to enact their authentic selves and embrace who they are. So we're going to talk about confidence today. And I got my phone with my wonderful PowerPoint that I utilize in my workshops. And we're going to walk through that today. So if you see me on my phone, that's what we're doing. So I want to start out with first and foremost, what is confidence? What is confidence? I want you to take a second and think about what you define confidence to be. You can pause this if you want to, but really what confidence is a trust in yourself. It is a radical appreciation of who you are, a recognition of your value, a recognition of your worthiness, the things that you're bringing to the table, and an openness to express those things. So you're trusting in yourself, you know what you're capable of, and you choose to freely express it. You choose to express who you are. Now, what that requires is a deep-seated connection, an anchor into your authentic self. So when we think about expressing our authenticity, really what that means, I recorded an episode on this, but it is embodying your state of being without feeling like you need to mold it to be according to the expectations of anyone else. It is using your voice. It's asserting your opinions. It's walking into a room with body language and with thought processes that formulate around the idea that other people see the value in you because you so strongly see it in yourself. So we can talk about fake it till you make it with confidence. We can talk about the body language. We can talk about all of that. But really what I believe it is a conscious decision every single day to feed yourself the storyline that who you are, your strengths, your talents, your unique traits, is what makes you special. And when you walk into a room thinking that everybody else in that room can see in you what you know to be true and you act accordingly, That's how confidence is showcased. And confidence is this really magnetic energy about us because authenticity is the highest vibrational emotion that we can express as human beings. We thought it was love for a long time. It's actually authenticity. It's such a deep-rooted connection to who you are, your heart, your feelings, your emotions, that everything you do embodies this essence. It's the nature of who we are. It's the nature of life. And expressing that without trying to come off according to other people's expectations or likes or dislikes is the key. That's what confidence is. So again, it's acceptance and appreciation. I'm not saying you're perfect. I'm not saying that everything that you bring to the table is awesome, because we've all got our flaws, but it's an acceptance of the imperfect and the perfect qualities that you bring to the table and embracing the whole. Authenticity is about embracing the whole. It is not about only advocating or emphasizing the good parts of your personality. It is about embracing the whole. So it's taking accountability of the things that might be deemed bad or like not so great qualities and owning those. So confidence is radical ownership. And in understanding that just because you have things that you might not love about yourself or put on a resume does not mean that it takes away from your value or your worthiness. The good outweighs the bad. And remember, guys, good and bad are subjective. Like, they're subjective anyways. So again, that rooted connection into your authenticity is key. And confidence is a muscle that requires training. So we're going to talk about empowered mindset in a second. Confidence requires training. You're not going to wake up feeling confident every single day. It is a fleeting emotion. But unshakable confidence is that idea of an anchor into who you are as a person, because who you are, that doesn't really, that doesn't ever go away. So you might wake up feeling like, I'm an imposter or whatever, but who you are never goes away. So it's that anchor in your authenticity that really fuels this carrying out of confidence. All right. So with that being said, we're going to talk about the power of the mind for a second. We're going to talk about the ego. We're going to talk about the roles of the ego. And when I was working with the first coach that I ever hired for a deeper connection to my purpose, my passion, my heart, my spirit, one of the things that we focused a lot of our energy and our time on was my tendency to operate out of the mind versus the heart. And we have to understand how the mind operates in order to use it to our advantage. So breaking down the ego was really helpful for me in understanding my thought process and how it influences my behaviors. So when we think about the ego is I thinking. So it is the separator. So it's me, it's preservative. It's like, who am I? I. Okay. We don't look at things collectively when we're looking at them from the standpoint of the ego. So the three roles of the ego: mediating between the conscious and the subconscious. So when we think about Freud and his idea of the id and the ego and the moral conscience, the ego is the mediator between the conscious and the subconscious. So what are the other roles of the ego? The second role of the ego is reality testing. What's real? What's not? How do I show up in this reality? How can I make sense of things? The ego is very logical. And the third role of the ego is identity formation. So again, it's that I. Who am I? How can I preserve my identity? How can I define my identity? It's very logical. This process of how we form our thoughts, which create our behaviors, it all stems from experience. Okay. So we start here with experience. Our experiences influence our beliefs. Our beliefs influence our thoughts, and our thoughts influence our behaviors, which then create our habits. So if we retrace that, we think about how different people can have the same experience, but form different beliefs based on their past, based on their mentality, their perspective. And so the beliefs that they're forming based on their experiences are what create their thoughts. But if we know that the same experience can be had by many different people and form different beliefs, the thoughts that are then formed based on those beliefs are going to be all across the board. And so what this means is that an objective experience is subjectively interpreted. So the thoughts that we then create based on the beliefs we form, through that filtered experience, they are not real. They are not real. They are not factual. And we have to remember this when we're dealing with the things that we tell ourselves, the thoughts that we have about who we are, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome. We have to remember that these thoughts are not who we are. They are simply based on the beliefs that we have formed through the experiences that we've had. So it's important to recognize, hey, you have a unique set of experiences. How did your experiences influence the beliefs that you hold about yourself? And how do those beliefs influence your thoughts about yourself? So understanding that when we look back at the experiences that we've had in this lifetime, we get to now consciously reprogram the belief by taking a different point of view, by taking a different perspective, but also honoring the experience itself. Then we get to choose how we interpret it, which is what reprograms our beliefs and helps us to create thoughts in alignment with beliefs more rooted in who we are, which is abundant, beautiful, creative human beings. We all have this nature of life within us. It's not mutually exclusive to me and, my friends. We all have it. So really rooting yourself in that is it's really powerful. The key is perspective, guys. So we can't believe our thoughts, but we can choose to use the mind as a tool. We don't want to let it tell us what to do and dictate our every move, because that would be quite chaotic, honestly. We have to understand it for what it is. It's a tool, but it is not who we are. All right. So with that being said, we're going to talk about building an empowered mindset. What do you do? How do you build an empowered mindset? How do you shift your perspective? How do you reprogram these beliefs? All right. You have to remind yourself of your value daily. If you do not talk highly of yourself and compassionately to yourself, you're never going to build confidence. You have to remind yourself of your value daily, because the mind is like a muddy bucket. It's full of mud because of all the conditioning that we have undergone as a society and as individuals. We are the ones who need to turn the faucet on and run the clear water into the bucket. Positive thoughts, affirmative thoughts, connection to who we are and our value, our worthiness. We need to constantly keep that faucet on, or else the bucket will stay muddy. And also, you're going to have people who are going to run and try to chuck mud in your bucket constantly. So you have to be the one who keeps the faucet on. So remind yourself daily of your value. Use your perspective to your advantage. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? This is so cliche. Why is this happening to me? No. What is this trying to teach me? How is this experience shaping me into a more resilient version of myself? It's so key, guys. When we can see meaning in everything, we understand what our experiences are trying to teach us, how they're building us up, how they're preparing the way for us. Trust the flow. Everything's going to be all right, man. Everything's going to be all right. I promise you that. It might not feel like it in the moment, but you've made it through every single bad day that you have ever had in the history of your life. You're here right now. You're going to make it through whatever it is that you're going through right now. Trust the flow of life. Progress is not linear. It's not linear. Growth happens in both directions. And if we want to transcend higher, we have to experience what it feels like to stoop lower. It is like duality. Progress is not linear. So just because my growth looks like dealing with some really heavy emotions right now and crying every other day does not mean that that's not also growth. How do you define growth? I think that's what you need to ask yourself, that question first and foremost, because if growth only means positive advancement or steps up, you're probably beating yourself up a lot. And I know this because this was me. Sometimes still is me. But it's not linear, guys. And confidence is dynamic. So again, you're not going to feel confident, but all the time, but you can root yourself in your authentic expression of who you are and the validation of who you are. And that is the muscle that needs to be trained. Aligned action is what builds confidence. You can't talk yourself into feeling like you are a person that you can trust if you don't take action that communicates to yourself or other people that they can trust you. Aligned action is so important. Do what you say that you are going to do. The credibility and the trust that you build for yourself through aligned action is going to be what helps you root yourself in your confidence, in your trust of yourself. If we can't trust ourselves to do what we say we're going to do, of course we're not going to feel like other people can trust who we are. We don't even trust ourselves. Aligned action is the quickest way, doing what you say you're going to do, is the quickest way to build trust and confidence within yourself. So what are some things that we can start doing in order to be more confident? Practice self-compassion. Treat yourself like you would treat a loved one. Don't kick yourself when you're down. Be patient. Be kind to yourself. Have compassion for where you're at, the good and the bad. Speaking kindly to yourself and highly of yourself. So when you're talking about yourself to other people, I just want you to be really aware of the words that you're using, the tone that you're using, and the kinds of things that you're saying. If you are not speaking highly of yourself, you're talking shit behind your own back, but it's like it's out in the open. So like you can hear you. Your brain hears you. So just register how you're talking about yourself and then also how you're talking to yourself. If the first thing you're saying to yourself when you wake up and look in the mirror is, "Oh my God, you're disgusting," it's going to be really hard to build confidence. We have to train this muscle. We have to be kind to ourselves. Even if you don't believe it, your brain doesn't know the difference. Setting boundaries and saying no. Learn to say no. If you don't respect yourself enough to set boundaries and enforce those boundaries, it's going to be really hard to build confidence. Because when you don't say no, when you don't set boundaries, you are communicating through your behaviors the deeper seated beliefs that you have that you don't respect yourself, that you're not worthy of setting boundaries, that like other people are more important than you are. So set your boundaries. You don't have to be a dick about it, but set your boundaries. No is the full sentence. You are not responsible for other people's reactions. Okay. Asserting your opinions and your feelings when it's appropriate. A wise man once said nothing at all. Okay. And that is a big one that I've been learning in the last season of my life. But also, don't keep yourself silent. Don't suppress your truth because you think it's going to affect other people negatively. Sometimes it's really important that we assert our feelings and our opinions. I said sometimes, not everybody is worthy of hearing them, but we actually do ourselves a disservice when we don't express ourselves. So express yourself freely. It takes practice. It's not going to be easy all the time. It takes practice. Taking aligned action. We talked about this. It's huge. Stepping outside of your comfort zone. Whoa. This is huge. The more that we can prove to ourselves that we are capable of leaning into the unknown and making it out on the other side intact, the more trust that we build within ourselves. And it's also fun. Like the unknown is kind of scary sometimes, but it's also where growth happens. So stepping outside of your comfort zone. Celebrating yourself. Oh, I didn't pause. That was kind of quick. Let's let that integrate. Celebrate yourself. If you did something today that you said you were going to do, thank yourself for showing up. Awesome job. If you don't do it, nobody else is going to. And surround yourself with positive energy. The people in our lives are so important. So important. Surround yourself with positive energy. Identify one person in your circle, in your life, that makes you feel good about yourself, and make a point of hanging out with them more often, of reaching out to them more often. And also, if there are people in your life who don't make you feel so hot about yourself, limit the amount of time that you spend with them if possible. All right, what do we need to stop doing? What do we need to stop doing to be more confident? Comparing yourself to others. God. Social media is the bane of my existence because we are constantly comparing ourselves and our lives and our circumstances to others. We're not meant to know what everybody else has going on. We're not meant to know what everybody else is doing. We're not meant to see what everybody else is doing, guys. We're not meant. Unfortunately, that's the way of life now. So you need to make a conscious decision to stop comparing yourself to other people, because what's the scale that you're comparing? Everything is subjective. No one is ever going to be you, and you're never going to be anyone else. Authenticity is the most beautiful thing that we can express. And we need more people who are expressing it. And you don't get there by comparing yourself to other people. Looking outside of yourself for validation. Not a recipe for feeling too hot about yourself. Again, if you do not celebrate yourself, don't expect other people to. And know that external validation is fleeting. If you want to feel safe, if you want to feel validated, you have to start with yourself, because you are the only person who is with you for this lifetime. So start looking to yourself for validation. And in order to do that, you have to define your values, define your priorities, and act accordingly. Period. Speaking negatively about yourself, just stop. Like, you got to stop. You have to stop speaking negatively about yourself. It is deteriorating your ability to not only show up for you, but other people. So stop doing that. And stop downplaying yourself and making yourself small. Take up space. It's your birthright. It is your birthright. And we respect other people more when they assert themselves and know their value by taking up space and being who they are, not downplaying themselves. When I say don't downplay yourself, don't pick up the phone and say, hey, it's just me. Oh, no worries. No, it's no problem. No, my opinion's not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I think. Oh, God. But it does. It does. And you have to communicate with and about yourself accordingly. And stop apologizing for everything. Unless your actions warrant an apology, stop saying, I'm sorry. Sorry for bothering you, but I have to ask you a question. So sorry, but can I reach out? So sorry, but can I give you a phone call? When you say that you're sorry, what does that signal to your brain? It signals that you're a burden. It signals that other people are at a disadvantage because you're in their presence. This is not good. This is not good. Stop apologizing for everything. Stop apologizing for your existence. If you have something to apologize for, take accountability, but do not apologize for your existence, for your feelings, for your emotions, for your presence. And lastly, stop saying yes to everything. This goes along the lines of setting boundaries. If you say yes to something, you say no to something else. And if you say no to something, you say yes to something else. If you say yes to everything, what you are saying is that everything goes, the good and the bad. You're not acting in alignment with what matters to you, because not everything can matter to you. So you need to know what matters to you, and you need to say yes to that and no to everything else that does not. And if it doesn't matter directly to you, does it matter to someone that you love? And does that person that you love matter to you?